All right. Welcome to the Peckham Pulse podcast, where we bring you inside the people, purpose, and passion that fuel Peckham Industries. I'm your host, Steve Benton, Corporate Director of Safety and Risk Management. Safety is a core value of Peckham, not just a priority or a set of regulations. Safety is about people, our family, and friends. The Pulse will provide in-depth conversation on what sparks our passions and how we carry that through to strengthen our safety culture. At Peckham, our mission is to safely provide high-quality construction materials and services, but let's be honest, it all starts with you, our members. But nothing, not a ton of asphalt or a mile of freshly paved highway matters more than making sure everyone goes home safe every single day. Welcome back to the Peckham Pulse podcast. Today we have a great episode, and it's focused really much more than signs and cones and work zones. It's about our people and our family and getting everybody home safely at the end of the night. We're in the middle of National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week, and we're really pleased to have Marilyn Benjamin join us and Johnny Gomez. Marilyn, you're a superintendent for Palmer Paving.
I am.
And Johnny, you are a project manager.
Yes, sir.
So we're really excited to have you guys to bring that perspective, that construction perspective, road building. This is an important week. It's not only an initiative that Peckham and Palmer have focused on in the past, but it's also a national focus as well, and something you guys know very intimately. Marilyn, start with you. I know you've done, a lot of different tasks for Palmer, but including work zone setups and, labor positions and things. Let's just talk a little bit about what you do for Palmer and, maybe some of the experiences that you've seen in work zones.
I started off as a laborer 10 years ago, and I've been with Palmer. It'll be my 9th season this season. Started in on traffic with me. Put me right into traffic, which is good. And they ended up getting me the supervisor certificate that I have gotten. Being comfortable in the seat of doing traffic is priority. Like, you have to know what you're doing. You got to know what's coming up. I've done highway traffic. I've done night traffic. I've done city, side streets. The visual for everybody is different. But when you get out there and do it, it's not the visual that you actually think they can see. Right. So, yeah.
I'll just say, 30 some odd years ago, and I'm probably showing my age, when I started in this industry, started in safety, one of the first things that shocked me is when I went out to a project on the New York State Thruway. And it's really shocking. Your first couple times out there on the back of a paver, just standing on the screed, riding on the paver, and when that first tractor trailer goes by you and literally rocks the paver. And I know our folks get used to that after a while, but
absolutely. So we did the Mass Pike last year. They started me with traffic, and of course you don't just do traffic. Then you get off the truck, and now you're going to help out. And we were doing ramps for bridges after we milled. So yes, you stand there and you hear those joints, you feel those joints, you hear those trucks coming at you. They don't slow down, so you have to know what's going on around you. But it is scary.
So Johnny, from your role, I mean, you're putting these jobs together. You're probably bidding them. You're start to finish, right? Kind of own the projects, the risks, the hazards associated. Some of the things that you've seen in your career. So you've got some experience. I mean, just share some of your perspective on.
So this is my 3rd season at Palmer, coming onto my 10th season, working in the paving industry. A lot of management style work that I do, but I do try to help out as much as I can. When we're planning work, it's always, safety mindset first, for sure. Trying to make sure that we get all of our people back home the same way they came in. There's a lot of risk out there, like you were saying. A lot of my work that I've done in the past few years, it's always been interstate work or state numbered routes that, traffic is a big priority in planning it and doing it safely, putting out your safety setups correctly, making sure that, that it's safe to go into the work zone before our people get out there. Right. So when it comes down to planning, you definitely want to plan the job safely and make sure that everything is legit.
Yeah, I know, Marilyn, on the on the Mass Pike, most of that work, if not all of it's at night.
True. Very true.
So not only do you have speed factors and multiple lanes and multiple exits merging on and off, but you also have the nighttime factor.
Yes. We've been out there where, your cone goes, somewhere, and then the next cone goes somewhere. Tractor trailers, they get close, so they can clip them real fast. And then you have people driving in there thinking, oh, this is an opening, let me come in. You definitely can't turn your back. You can't. You have to stay aware of everything that's going on.
We're only separated, our crews, by cones, right, or barrels. Very rarely do we get into situations where we use Jersey barrier. It's sometimes just not practical. We're moving so quickly, it becomes difficult to move a fixed barrier. it's just a plastic, 36 inch, 42 inch,
36 inch.
36 inch cone that separates us at night with traffic moving. What speeds, Marilyn?
Oh, I mean, they're still at 65. They're supposed to, it depends on what kind of highway you're on, but
Right.
they need to be lower than 55.
So we try to slow them to 55. That's the
try.
posted speed limit, right?
Yeah.
But I've been out there when tractor trailers have hit cones. And it's just a matter of where the cone projects to. Between the two of you, any experiences with intrusions, with cars entering the pattern or tractor trailers? Or
was on 391 in Holyoke and Chicopee Line. I was doing the setups over there, and we had people taking out the taper. And somebody had driven over a cone, and then she pulls in and finds us, and she says, "Can you help me?" And I said, "No, I can't." I said, "You can take that cone home now. Since you drove through that setup, you can take that cone home." So she was mad.
She was probably as shocked as you were.
Yes.
It definitely happens more frequent than we all think about it.
Right.
Clipped cones, tractor trailers whizzing by at 75, 80 miles an hour. Even the Motor Republic, just people just don't slow down, pay attention. Hit the cones, and they, like you said, they go flying. Whether they go stay in the lane that's live, or they go into the work zone, and they it could hit somebody. And luckily, we haven't had anyone hurt, but it does happen.
And there's some weight to those cones.
Oh,
Yeah,
there is.
so
If one hits you, you're going to know it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So I imagine the paving crews, the rollers, the setup crew, everybody involved, right? They probably grow, I don't want to say numb, but they probably grow complacent. How do you balance complacency and the actual risks?
I think you talk about at toolbox talks, at the beginning of every shift, you emphasize the dangerous work that we do, the risks that are at hand. But you also instill that trust in your crew members, or everybody. Right. If they trust each other, they, when someone speaks up, everyone listens. Yeah. So that trust is a big part of, trusting your team member next to you, or the foreman, or the new guy. Right. So just making sure that everyone trusts each other to make the right judgment calls, to make sure that they speak up when risks come about.
What do you guys see out there? I mean, you must see it all, right? From, I assume, cell phone use to what are some of your experiences, Ben, as far as just, is distracted driving the number one, or is it speeding, or is it, what do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. I think you see a lot of erratic drivers, whether they're drunk drivers, people distracted on their phones, trying to pay attention to their kids in the back, or whatever it is, some type of distracted driving. I think you see all sorts of different things.
Marilyn?
I'm going to agree. There's a lot of people that eat. That we see, I mean, people out at night. Yeah. I mean, especially at night. I don't know where they're coming from, work, whatever, but they're definitely, Yeah,
like you said, it's kind of like an orchestrated chaos, right? Everyone wants to get out, start work, and doing their thing, laying asphalt. But before we get there, the setup has to be out safely. You have to cross live lanes, right? So a lot of times we use a rolling roadblock, where we shut down the whole highway for the 5 to 10 minutes that it takes to get the equipment on to the road and into the work zone from the staging area. So that takes a lot of pressure, a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork, making sure that the lane is dead, making sure that we're safe to cross the live lane.
So in Massachusetts, you guys have police detail as part of every project, I believe. Even the utilities have them out there. In New York, we don't.
Most of the time it's helpful. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have police details that can guide traffic and also be an enforcement of the law. But we also see a lot of times nowadays where people don't respect the amber lights or the blue lights at all, and still are speeding through the work zone. And the officer that's working the detail, most of the time they cannot chase after the guy, and they radar it in. By that time, whoever's driving erratically is gone.
Well, I mean, we do the best we can, PPE and trying to keep people visible. Yeah. But what we can't control is what we can't control, and that's the traveling public, right? Yep. And we, again, all we have is cones next to us to separate traffic traveling at 55 to 65 to 75 miles an hour, probably. Yep. Any other concerns out there, or hazards or risks you guys see that you deal with every day that just becomes part of our job?
I'm gonna mention education. Everybody, every year we go to a safety meeting, and a lot of people are like, oh, we just heard the same stuff last year. So it's not something that is, I guess, right there on the tip of your brain where you remember stuff like that. It's stuff that's always done every year, so you kind of slack. So just being educated, maybe changing things up with your crews, just to make sure everybody is on their toes rather than slacking back.
Right.
complacency is a big thing in our industry, right?
Yeah.
Industry wide, it's complacency, and people get used to it, and it becomes almost like a norm. But as you emphasize it more and you preach about it and you actually walk the walk, that's where it kind of drills in home on making sure that we're safe at home and safe at work.
Do you guys, when you talk to your crews, do they have a plan if there were ever an intrusion? Do they kind of know what they would do?
I guess every situation is going to be different. We never talk about that, I guess. It's because we pray it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something.
Yeah, it's just tough to plan for, right? But
Right.
the one thing that we do reiterate is, always keep your head on swivel, make sure that you're aware of your surroundings, make sure that there's an escape point somewhere to get out of, a hazardous situation if it ever arises.
Let's talk a little bit about PPE. We harp on it. I think we're really good at it. I know last year we tried the helmets. How did that go over? I know initially I think it was a little bit of a sell, but are your folks accustomed to them now, or is it still trying to feel our way through it, or what do you think?
I think it's still something that we're growing into, right? We're probably one of the only paving contractors in our area that requires the helmet or a hard hat in general.
Yeah.
So they know that it's an expectation and they know that it's a requirement in this working here. So you get a mixed bag of some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't care about it. Some people. The chin strap is the biggest thing. Is why do I have to have a chin strap on?
Yeah, Marilyn, do you think our folks understand the reasoning behind it though?
They do, but they don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something that you can just brush off real fast, like the chin strap. Why do I need it? What's going to hit me that my hard hat's going to fall off?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know.
Yeah,
It's
and
the don't know.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, like Marilyn said, just the education of it, right? Some people don't see the statistics of why the helmet is becoming more and more popular with the chin strap in our industry and in every construction industry, right? They just think like, oh, there's nothing going to be flying from the sky that's going to hit me and knock me on the ground. But they're not worried about if they do get knocked over by something, that the helmet, a regular hard hat is just going to fall off, where the helmet is going to stay more secured.
And then we try to keep everybody as visible as we can.
Absolutely.
Obviously with the vests, and at nighttime requires a higher level of retroreflective type 3, and again, our people hopefully are just that's second nature to them.
Yeah. No one thinks twice. Everyone's looking for their their halos or their light for night lighting. Everyone's looking for their gaiters or their pants. So everyone knows that what it takes to be safe out there and visible, whether you're working days or nights.
Mental health has become a big topic in our industry, right? You guys have heard the stats before, we talk about, but it's actually, the numbers are staggering in our industry, higher than any other, as far as just suicide. And, there's been a huge, AGC of America has done a huge thing on mental health, and we've tried to, introduce it to certainly Peckham and Palmer and to all of our operations. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, how do you guys deal with the stress? How do you go home and just take a breath and say, work is work, home is home, and how do you guys keep a straight head and try to keep everything balanced?
You have to be a certain person to do that. Not everybody can do stuff that that requires multitasking, and so you have to be that right person to come in and try to tackle something very big. Can you take baby steps? Yes. But once, for instance, I was in Amherst last season, and like I said, I had Peckham roads there, regrinding. I think we were paving one road and milling another road. Was that stressful? Yeah, absolutely. You just have to stay on top of things.
Right.
You can't slack, because then it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then you can break. So, you just got to stay on top of your work.
Yeah, I mean, as management, it is a stressful job. You work long days. You try to plan a lot of work and try to get everyone home safe. And, it's a lot during the season. Me personally, I see a therapist every couple of weeks, just one day a week for every couple of weeks for an hour. And that's helped out with me just sitting down in a room and just talking to my therapist, whatever. We could be bullshitting. We could be talking about serious things, but at least I have someone that I can sit down and speak to confidential and whatever. Not that I don't have family members that I can do that with, but just to have something scheduled where I can just air it all out if I need to.
Johnny, do all of our members understand that they have resources available to them? I know either through the union, through our company, there's a toll-free hotline nationally for if somebody even just wanted to call and talk to somebody on the other line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as managers, right, we sometimes are therapists, right? We're always, showing the empathy and trying to get, everything we can out of our members and, seeing how their day is going and how life outside of work is going. And I tell all the workers that that I deal with that, there is an EAP, there is a lot of help out there if someone needs help, not just mental help, but any type of help, just reach out to this number. If you can't get what you need from there, just let me know and I can find other resources. Yeah. But I think it's important for all of our members to know that there is, someone out there or something out there that can help them.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're kind of coming to the end here. Number one, thanks for coming in and talking, having an open, honest conversation. We covered a lot, and I'm not sure. I think most members in our company realize it, but you guys have a tough job, and I'm not sure the public realizes it. The work you guys do and the associated risks involved are real. It's and you guys just do a good job of making things look easy, and especially on the Mass Pike. It's not an easy job, as we all know, and you guys make it look easy, and you turn out a great product. So thank you for that. And I think people don't realize that our workplace is out on the highways, and again, things get real quick, and we just deal with it and overcome it and do the best we can. So again, thank you guys. I just want to leave a message just to those out there that, again, these are our workplaces. It's so vitally important to make sure that you slow down. Your distractions get turned off and the phones get turned off and put away, because literally it can wait. And just for the safety of our own folks, it's essential. And you need to be focused. It only takes a few minutes to get through a work zone. It's not an inconvenience. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a beautiful, shiny, new highway, and it'll be well worth it. So I'll leave you with that. I encourage everybody to tune in. Again, it's Work Zone Awareness Week. I encourage you to go to the website, check it out. There's a lot of great resources out there for everybody to look at. And again, thank you, and please tune into the next podcast. At Peckham Industries, safety isn't something we talk about when it's convenient. It's who we are and how we show up every day, every shift. Safety is a core value, just like integrity, dedication, and efficiency. So here's our challenge to you. Let your passion for safety lead the way, every shift, every task, every day. Thanks for tuning in to the Peckham Pulse. Stay safe, stay passionate, and be proud knowing that we're building America's infrastructure.